Hey y'all, it's your girl Jada Vasser, and this is All Shade to Chocolate, where I'm bringing the sweetest, the hottest Black culture to MSU. I have another guest today.
Hi.
This is Destinee.
Hi.
Clap that up, clap that up, clap that up.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. I've definitely wanted you on All Shade to Chocolate for a nice little minute.
Yeah.
And we got a good topic. But before we get into the topic, introduce yourself. Because you do something different at State News. You're not a writer.
Yes.
You're not a newsroom person. So tell them a little bit about what you do.
So my name is Destinee. I'm a junior at Michigan State. I do work at the newsroom, but I'm on the advertising side, so I'm an account executive. Super fun. I love my team. Shout out to my team. They're the best. So yeah, that's basically what I do. I'm a dual major in advertising management and journalism, so I used to do a little bit of reporting back in the day, not anymore, but so yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Yes.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, happy to have you. Definitely wanted you to explain what you do, because I feel like some people, they don't see the behind the scene characters that make some stuff happen, and you're definitely one of those people.
Yeah.
So definitely time to shout you out. And yes, y'all, this is get your notebooks, because this is a good topic. We are here, we're going to talk about financial literacy, but Black financial literacy. And I really feel like it's so important, because if you grow up with, poverty or in the struggle or in the inner city, these resources that kind of like people say is common knowledge isn't really that common.
Yeah.
Because if you're a product of your environment, like I know for me, I was never taught really anything about financial situations besides what I saw growing up, which was, paycheck to paycheck. You'll pay it when you can. Spend your money on what's important, like, make sure you eat every day. But sometimes eating every day takes away from your lights being on, your gas being on, your heat being on. So, like, I just wanted us to start off, basically the conversation of, like, how was financial literacy introduced to you? Was it ever a topic in your household, Because I see some parents on TikTok, which I think is a really good thing. They sit their kids down and they make a spreadsheet of, like, all of the stuff they buy in the house, and the parents are like, okay, how much do you think this is? And then I'll tell you how much it really is. And then we'll take, my salary, and let's divide it up so you can see where this money goes. Yeah. So it's not really just us saying, like, oh, we don't want to buy you that game, or we don't want to buy you that bike, or, something in your head you think as a kid, but it's like, no, this money goes to these important things. So how was the topic of finances brought up in your house?
So I'll say that honestly it wasn't. If I'm being honest, my first kind of conversation about finances started when I got my first apartment. And that was like last year. Whoa. So it just wasn't a conversation. I think maybe the first conversation I had about finances with my family was actually with my grandmother. She is the most knowledgeable person about finances that I've ever met. Like, she is, both my grandmothers actually, but the one in particular that I'm talking about, she's just so knowledgeable about it. She knows about stocks, she knows about all those things. Oh, wow. So that was when I had that first conversation, and she was just kind of talking about stocks with me, and I really loved that. And then my other grandmother, she was talking to me about credit. And I was very tuned into that conversation because I was around that age where people start getting credit cards. And she was just kind of telling me, how to build my credit, what credit even means, and, what all that entails, and how you have to be responsible with the money that you're given and your credit and everything, and how to check your credit score and everything like that. So honestly, it wasn't brought up until recently. I wasn't really paying bills until recently. So that's kind of when I started to learn it. Yeah,
I kind of feel the same way, honestly. Like, I definitely got hit in the face with it when, I had a rent that I had to pay every month, and I'm living more on my own now. And even I live with my sister, but we're on our own. There's not, there's support, but it's like you got to figure it out for yourself now. And it's so crazy because I guess, I don't know, as a teenager, like, I always knew that, finances were important, budgeting, you got to figure out these things out. But I feel like you never really know how much it takes until you get there. And even I'll call my mom, I'll be like, you didn't tell me this. Like, you didn't say I'd have to do this and this. And she like, they didn't tell me this.
Right.
At one point, you got out there. And I also feel like I got at least a slim introduction because I have an older sister. She's 10 years older than me and my twin. And she also graduated from Michigan State. Shout out to you, Jazz.
Ooh, yeah.
So when she was here, I kind of saw her go through those motions. And she definitely had, I feel like, a lot more conversations because we were siblings. So a lot of it, she was like, look, when you get out here, it's going to be like this.
Yeah.
And I ain't your mama, so I'm going to tell it to you this way, raw and real, so you understand it, so that if it happens to you or when this does happen, you're not going to be so shocked.
Right.
And I do feel like when I got introduced to a lot of, like, you know, bank accounts and credit cards, because scammers, okay, because they be trying to get you the interest rates. I'm like, hold on, because they know how to sweet talk your way into saying yes to anything.
Yeah.
But I'd be like, hold on, she told me this would happen. Like, hold on, she told me this would happen.
It's so good to have someone like that. It really is.
And then even just someone that like asks questions, because now sometimes I feel like, even with me being 21, sometimes I feel like, okay, I should know this. Why am I reacting? But it's like the world we growing up in is not when they grew up. So these prices and this new financial mindset we have to have isn't what they needed to have.
Yeah.
So like the stuff we need to be more aware of and like budgeting way more in higher amounts, they didn't have to, because you know that the economic world was easier for them in a lot of ways. But now you got to prepare so much. You got to work twice as many jobs, and salary you have to make this a year to even be comfortable.
Yeah.
Like the line is so up there. It's like, why are we not talking about this more?
Right.
And then especially for Black people, when working in these fields is hard enough, we're not going to shoot for those higher end jobs because we know what the outcome is going to be.
Right.
So speaking of that, thinking of the high school you went to and even the middle school you went to, were these topics of conversations? Like, did you have any, high school teachers that said, look, we're going to talk about money? Because I got it a little bit, but they never really went too in depth with it. And you know how you ask the parents, they're like, oh, we had a cooking class, a home ec class, we had all these, a wood shop class. Like, we had all these classes that were to prepare you for this life stuff. So, one, did your high school do it? And if it didn't, do you think they should redo it?
So I want to say, well, I'll start off by saying I went to 4 different high schools. Oh,
you were.
So I can give you an overlay of like an overview of all the schools that I went to. Between all of those high schools, only one taught me about finances, and that was my senior year here in Michigan. I went to East Lansing High School my senior year, and it was an econ class. It was so I learned about, what was it? We learned about taxes, like how to fill out a tax form. It was very insightful, and I really appreciated that class because it kind of got me started. It got me going, and I learned a lot of things that I didn't know before. But as far as my other high schools, no. Middle school, no. Wasn't even a topic of discussion, wasn't even close. I mean, not even near. So, my high school, my senior year, I learned a little bit. I do feel like we could have learned a little bit more. I wanted to learn more about credit because we learned about taxes and everything, but we didn't learn about credit. And then also they didn't talk about, like, there's so many little things, but they didn't talk about the threshold, like how much you have to make to file your taxes. Like, we just kind of went into it, and I'm like, so when I started making money, I got my first job, I'm like, wait a second, when do I need to file taxes? Like, I'm like freaking out because they didn't talk about that, So it was good, but it could have used a little bit more, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like in those, I took an econ class my junior year, and then definitely my senior year. And then I also think COVID impacted that, because once COVID hit and my senior year was on Zoom, they wasn't teaching nothing. They were trying to just, give us the last little bit we needed. But I really wish those classes kind of started like freshman year. Yeah. And if they like kind of transcended over the years, because we definitely talked a little bit about like, taxes and what they look like. But it's learning about taxes. I learned a lot of that stuff from my mom because, obviously she filled out taxes. Okay, smart, responsible woman. But it really took me just like sitting next to her and looking at what she does to be like, oh, that's what that means. Okay. Yeah. But even then, like, and then I also got a lot of teachers who said like, oh, you'll learn about this in college. But baby, in college, I need to do it. College is the time when I need to fill this stuff out.
You don't want to learn about it when you have to do it at that time. You want to know some prior knowledge. Okay,
because if I do it wrong, they're on me. Right. That's my behind. That's me. I'm on the line. So like, I feel like I got that so much with so many different subjects in high school. Just college will broaden your knowledge on that. College is going to teach you this. You'll do it in college. But it's like, am I not old enough now?
Right.
Especially senior year, like I'm gonna be 18 when I get to college.
Right.
So what's the difference between me learning it now versus in 3 more months?
It's that saying, like, prepare now so you don't have to prepare later.
Exactly.
Because when you prepare later, you're like us, we're rushing. It's not even, we're not even fully, we don't have a full understanding of how it works. Exactly. We're rushing, we're freaked out a little bit, and then that's when we run into making mistakes and when we start, like, making poor financial decisions because we're uneducated. Definitely hear you on that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that brings up another thing I want to talk about, because we talked about it a little bit off the mic too, and a little bit yesterday when I brought up this struggle mindset type of thing, where people are stuck where they are and they don't know. You're making a little bit more money, but they've been so accustomed to not having money, they're reckless with it.
Right.
So how do you view the struggle mindset? And have you ever seen yourself like, oh, I got this money, I'm about to do this, and this, and you come back and you like, why was I stupid with that? Like, I could have planned this out, had this money for so long, because I'll tell you, that's the difference between me and my twin sister, Janae, and budgeting, queen. She needs to continue to teach me. I want those pair of shoes. I'm a foodie. I want this type of meal. You know, the Lord's still working on me. Right. But Janae, and it's definitely, like I said, you know, we grew up in the same house. We got the same learning. She does a lot of like YouTubing, Googling, you know, the spreadsheets people use, she downloads and fills them out of her iPad that she got, you know, just like mine. Like, she took that self-learning really, really hard. But everybody doesn't have, not I want to say the strength, but everybody doesn't have the discipline to do it. So have you ever find yourself in situations where you realize, oh man, my discipline is like way off?
Absolutely. And this is a full transparency moment. Of course I have. When I first got my first job, I was working 2 jobs actually, and some money started rolling in. It was like I'm getting the most money that I've ever gotten in my life. And that can be both a good and bad thing. I think where that the overspending, it stems from, or at least for me, when I was younger, growing up in my household, I didn't get the shoes. I wasn't able to afford the clothes. I couldn't afford the trips. So when I had the money, I'm like, oh yeah, this is life. This is what the money's for. I'm supposed to be doing this. This is what I have the money now, so I can do it. And that's not the case. And I feel like a lot of young Black people think that, and we shouldn't, because that's not living. You know what I'm saying? It's a quick moment where you're spending that money and you're happy about it then, but those things don't last forever. Financial freedom lasts forever. You know what I'm saying? It can even last for your kids. Your kids and their kids. You know, so that's how you build generational wealth, making smart financial decisions. So I've definitely had my, there's times where I went on trips where I probably shouldn't have went on a trip. Bought a pair of shoes. I did not need those pair of shoes.
Because you're not going to need it in 2 years. These are all wants. And that also brings a really good thing, because I don't know if you've ever seen, like, you know, the celebrities or the stars who have kids, or even just people in general who make money and they're like, oh, when I have kids, my kids are going to work. Right. Like, I'm not going to give my kids, just give it to them. Just give them the money that I earned because I worked for my money. And I'm going to teach them they need to work for it. So how do you feel about that argument?
So I'm split with that, I'll be honest, because I don't want my kids to grow up necessarily the way that I did, where the money pinching is so, like, prominent. I want them to experience luxury. I do, because I think that, one, kind of builds self-esteem, and it also lets them know that you can be in this space. You can afford these things. It's meant for you, especially as a Black person. Like, you deserve this too, and I want my kids to experience that. But I don't want to do it to a point where they get snobby and they get almost like stuck up, and then they get like they just sit there. They're like, well, I don't have to do anything because like this is already mine. You know what I'm saying? So definitely implementing some sort of financial discipline. I plan on, if I have a business, my kids, that's going to be their job. They're going to work under me, and I'm going to teach them how to do everything. And I hope that shows them like how money works, why it's important, and kind of help them so that they can take that and carry it on to their kids too. So I am split with that. I don't want my kids to struggle, because I don't think that it's necessary. Like, I don't want them to have to be like super broke to the point where they're like having to find out the hard way. But I do want them to have a very strong discipline and an understanding of how money works, and how when you make poor financial decisions, how that affects you later.
Yeah.
So finding a balance is gonna be hard, but it's gonna be worth it, because in the long term, they're gonna be our age, 21, and they're gonna know how to manage their finances, and they're gonna be able to have a lot of money without blowing it.
Yes.
You know, so
yes. Again, I did look. We're on the same page with this, because I definitely agree. Like I always said, you know, when I have kids, like you said, you never want to put people where you've been. And especially, you know, living through that and seeing, especially because I grew up in a single parent household.
Same.
So, you know, seeing how hard my mom had to fight. For one, when it was all three of us. But even when my sister went to college, and it wasn't easier. You know, one kid goes to college and they can be a little bit more self-sufficient, but that didn't make the load any easier.
Right.
You know, it's hard seeing that as a child and knowing you can't do nothing about it now because you're too young.
Right.
So especially growing up, and I also like what you said about how that changes your mindset, because, you know, I feel like growing up in that, especially for me personally, sometimes I feel like the money isn't even mine. Like, I don't deserve the money because I'm not even used to seeing it.
You're not,
So when I get it, I'm like, this don't even make no sense.
Right.
Like, where did this come from?
Right.
And it's just crazy how, like, that mindset, it can really keep you stuck, and it'll make you feel like you can't progress. Like, you only hit where your parents got, and you don't even know what's above that.
And you don't shoot for the stars like you're supposed to.
Yes.
They're thinking like, oh, I have this now, and they're so scared of, one, losing it, and two, thinking that they don't deserve it, that they don't keep going.
Yes.
And that honestly scares me. I mean, I've even had that myself. I'm like, okay, am I supposed to like be in this big position? Am I supposed to be this financially set? Is this meant for me? Is this, you know? And then you kind of, I don't know if you get this, but you kind of feel a little bit of guilt because of the other people that you know that don't, your family members or your friends that weren't put in the same positions as you to learn and get to where you are financially. And that's just, I feel that sometimes. So no,
I definitely get that too. And that's why I always like, All Shady Chocolate was rooted in representation, and it was rooted to showcase that you can see yourself in these positions, even if nobody else has done it before.
Right.
And I really think finances and, you know, Black-owned businesses and being those big CEOs who really skip the money, but just being in those positions of power, knowing you can make it and knowing you can have stability, says a lot.
Yeah.
Because especially someone who grew up in Detroit, stability wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like, we thought that was stability, and we'd had nothing, but we thought nothing was stable, because at least nothing's going wrong.
Right.
So you can figure it out.
Man,
but
that right there.
to see what you can have something, and you can have way more than, like, even what you felt like you deserved.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It changes a lot. It can be a whole character change, honestly.
It really can. Yeah.
Like, the confidence, you said, the confidence building, and then especially, you know, you make it so high, you can give back to your people who started the way so you can finish it.
That is so important.
Yes.
That is so important. Like, our community, we need that.
Oh, man, so much.
Circling that wealth within our community is so important.
Absolutely.
It's so important.
And just showcasing that, like, you can do it. Yes, you will face more obstacles, obviously, and it's gonna suck because the obstacles are only gonna be based on what you look like.
Right.
Because society, we're still not at a place where we are comfortable seeing Black people succeed.
Exactly.
Or we are comfortable having that Black lawyer or that Black doctor or that Black PhD student.
Right.
Or, you know, that Black medical assistant or that Black
entrepreneur.
Oh, that Black entrepreneur.
Yeah,
We're not used to seeing that, and honestly, we're not going the right way to be used to seeing that.
Right.
But if that day does come, I really feel like it'll just be such a relief, and the tonality around financial status will change.
Yeah.
Because I also feel like, as Black people, we have to start speaking positive over our finances.
Agreed.
Like, we have to start speaking that we can have that wealth.
Right.
We deserve that wealth. Yes, it was stripped from us years ago, but we can build it back. Because I definitely remember growing up, and, you know, when times get hard, you just get doubtful.
Yeah.
And you don't see.
You get unmotivated.
Yeah, you get unmotivated, and you see, okay, you're working all these 2, 3. Like, my mom, she would have 2. She had a main job, then she would work night shifts at a store. Oof. She worked at Target for so long, stocking, and, like, you see a person go through that, and it's like, dang, when is that gonna end?
Right.
When is that gonna end?
Right.
And it's like, you do it for so long, and it did end. You know, she got her big girl job now, Mom.
Amen.
And she started her own business. You know, she doing all that.
Yes.
But the fight that people don't see is what I think traps people a lot, because people they don't want to fight no more.
Yeah, they're tired.
They're tired.
And I hear that, but for me personally, hearing that and seeing that pushes me really, really hard. Like, in my mind, there is no other place for me in life than where I'm meant to go.
Yes.
Financially free, financially stable, my kids, my grandkids, me, my husband, my children, whatever it is, financially free, financially stable, and happy and content, you know, but also extremely hardworking and extremely humble. And that's another thing.
Yes.
People boast, and when they get to that, you know, because look. I'm from Atlanta.
True. Okay. Oh, girl.
Hellcats, this and that. And it's just like, that's another example of just poor spending habits.
Yes.
It's always about the glitz and glam that they're not even putting the money towards things that actually matter. The cars are nice. The clothes are nice. Don't get me wrong. I love that, the luxury. But at the same time, it could be going elsewhere.
Yeah, it's all about showing off your money, not showing what you do with your money.
Right.
Everybody wants to flaunt that they can buy this out the store if they wanted to.
They want to rub that engine and all this
you hear
and
it at the light. And yes, all of that. But it's like, when you see somebody who's trying to stack it and build with it, I mean, they get clowned.
Yeah.
Like, they get talked about. Like, oh, look at this dude over here thinking he, you know, can flip all this and make this into some more money. And it's like, why are we accepting the norm that you're supposed to spend it all the second you get it?
And I hate that, because it's not even a good influence for the younger generation.
It's not.
They look at that and they think, oh, that's wealth.
Yes.
It's not.
Like, that's what you do the second you get money.
And that is not the only way that wealth looks either.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But when they look at that, they think that that's wealth.
Absolutely.
And I hate that, because there's so many different kinds of wealth.
Yes.
And a lot of times, generally speaking, people with that much wealth don't have to show it. You know what I'm saying? You might even not even see them because of how wealthy they are.
And they don't need to show it to nobody.
You know, so I hope that our community kind of sees that. And I do see people in our community doing that. I appreciate that so much.
I do, and I honestly think our generation is one of the first, especially like the black kids around our age. I really feel like they understand that they want to be more. Yeah. Like we have those goals and we have those standards to where we know where we're at isn't the end.
Yeah.
This is not where we're meant to be. This is just so temporary.
Yeah.
Versus like our parents' generation, even our grandparents, I think they were just so conditioned to settle.
Yeah.
And they were so conditioned to hold on to the little that you have, and you can think that you could get more, but don't think too much to where you lose what you got.
Man, yeah.
To where it's like, they couldn't even dream. They couldn't even
dream about wanting more, being in a higher place, because sometimes they'd even, feel silly about themselves, like, I can't be like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or they get to the point where they're like, okay, that seems selfish. Like, I shouldn't want or need all that. You're not.
Okay.
You're not.
Okay. So you know what I'm saying? Now we're definitely like, no, I want it all for me and nobody else. I want to take all of this. And I feel like that segues perfectly into people who take, entrepreneurship and building their own business super seriously. Yeah. And I'm laughing when I say this, because sometimes as black people, again, I say this a lot of times on the podcast, sometimes as black people, we do a little bit too much. And a little bit too much comes with some of these black-owned businesses that some people have, because they don't have the education to sustain a business. Right. So I feel like some of these black-owned businesses where you looking on there and the stuff is clean, it's sweet, but $40, like $55,
that
like
kills me. That kills me.
I know where you came from,
and your margin, their price margin, it's out of this world, because it's not costing you that much to manufacture that. Come on now, come on.
And it's like, that's where I say we definitely need, or I don't understand how people can't see that and be like, they're just not educated. Like, if these are not examples that black people are not getting the resources they need, I don't know what is, because they're just doing what they know. Yeah. And especially if you're comparing yourself to all these other brands, you're like, oh, they charging $50 for some leggings, or they charging $35 for 2 tees. Right. I can charge the same. Yeah. But your foundation is nowhere near what they had. Yeah. And it probably never will be due to who their owners are, and we just won't have that,
and who their consumers are too.
Literally. So I guess what I wanted to start off as far as like entrepreneurship and all that stuff is, one, do you think we'll ever hit a time where society will accept seeing black owners period as real? Because I also think a lot of it deals with, again, they're just not taking us serious enough to know that we want this and we do this. Because I see a lot of TikToks that come across my feed of, and it'd be small businesses like, jewelry shops, smoothies, teas, all that, and they're not sustaining business. Like they're closing early, they get a really good start, but they don't have the money to keep the bills going.
They go bankrupt.
Yes, and it's like, which again, one of the positives I always say about social media is you get that influx back in, you get those people in the area, but it's like, man, why is that rough patch so rough for us? Because you never see, unless they did a crazy scandal or a racist incident, you never see these other big businesses going through that rough patch. It's always consistent. So do you think we'll ever hit a time where they'll look and just take it serious, like, no, this is a business?
I want to say that I'm an optimist. Like, I want to be optimistic about it and say that, yes. But it's really, really hard to say that right now. Just because of what's happening right now. If I were to be honest, a couple years ago, I was like, maybe 2 to 3 years ago, I'm like, I think I could see it. But right now, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's getting a little rough. I'm not a little bit. It's rough. Okay? It's really rough. But at the same time, our people are so persistent. They're so persistent and they're so resilient that at some point, no matter what's going on, there's going to be some group that's prevailing and still doing it and still going at it. So I want to say yes and no. It's just so hard to, but I have faith in our people. We're always going to be doing something extraordinary.
Yes, and the thing about it is we are small, but we're mighty. So when something happens and you see the connection of all of these black people that just come together and fight for this cause, it makes change and it makes noise. You just have to keep doing it. And I don't think, even in the community, that we're all not at the level to where we can fight that fight, because even like we said earlier, we don't know what we're fighting for. As far as financial literacy, breaking the word down, understanding money management, and knowing where you're putting your money and what you're getting out of your money. That's going to take some time to teach, especially for all of us that's getting into the world and we're adults and, we're making those mistakes. That'll teach us. But, still being straight up and being like, look, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. Don't give these people your money because they lying. They're going to take it. You're going to have to pay it back at the end. Okay, make sure you're reading the fine print always, because there's something in that print.
How a loan accrues interest.
What? Are you kidding me right now? It's man, the school bill? Why didn't nobody sit me down? Man. I'm thinking I'm all over the world on campus. Getting this refund. No, ma'am.
No.
Read your paperwork and read it twice. Okay. But I also feel like, as far as in entrepreneurship, I also feel like just black people in general, we have this unique sense to business. And I feel like the culture we have, the businesses we can create are like no other. So do you think when people see, black-owned businesses, or when you get the businesses like black-owned beauty supplies, or, black-owned restaurants that are, culturally, representing where those people are, do you think that steers people away?
It probably steers a certain community away, but I'll speak for myself. I'm a sucker. If it has black-owned business on it, I'm buying it. I don't even. It could be something that I don't even like, and I'm still gonna buy it just because it's a black-owned business.
Just to support.
So it probably does steer people away. It probably does. Nah, not our community. It's for us, by us. I'm cool with that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I go for it every time.
Absolutely.
Every time.
There's just some stuff I want to buy that I know it's like, a black person did this. You're gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Like, man, restaurants.
Every
time it hits, and it'd be the hidden spots too. Those little rundown, not the fancy stuff you find on TikTok that the tourists go to, not the stuff with the weights. It'd be the really small places. Really feel like you in your grandma kitchen, or you at your mama house in the living room, and it feels like home. And I really feel like that's what keeps us going. But man, if people paid attention to that and saw the greatness that's in that,
something that always it makes me giggle. And it makes my heart a little bit bigger every time I see it, is when people rave about a business when they don't even know that it's black owned. I just love that because that's like, it just shows that, yes, we are great.
Yes.
We are doing it. This product is legit. People have no idea. And I like that because it's almost like, of course. Right, it's almost like, of course it's Black owned. You know what I'm saying? Like it becomes a norm, and I love that. Another thing that I've been seeing is Black owned hotels. I don't know if you've been seeing that. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And like, I was on booking.com not too long ago looking at hotels, and I just found this like really beautiful hotel in Puerto Rico. It was Black owned, and it was like the nicest hotel, like a beautiful.
Really?
And I'm like, well, wait a minute now. I'm looking at New York, like all these places,
I have
Miami,
never seen a
black owned hotels, absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
And they are making so much money and generating wealth, and I just love that.
That's what's needed. That's definitely what's needed. And I feel like having those spaces where, like I said, I would love to see that hotel because I have never even known any Black owner of a hotel. And there's a lot of major hotel chains.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Hilton, Hyatt,
and the demographic when you go in there, it's what you would expect from chains like that.
Right.
And first of all, hotels is another thing too, because not only the people work there, the customers they expect to go to these hotels.
Right.
And the way that you just get that kind of extra security at some of these places, and it's like, what are you doing that for?
What are you doing?
Like, what's the reason behind why you got to re-ask me, am I a guest here?
Right.
And what's my room number? And what I'm doing here. Like, I've gotten that so much. Me, my sister, and my boyfriend, we went to Austin, Texas. We went to DreamCon. It's a Black-owned anime convention we try to go to every year. And
sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's super fun. Yeah. It was the first year we went alone because my mom and grandma came last time, and then she said, okay, y'all go by yourself. First of all, traveling alone, scary. And I also hate flying, so just scary.
Oh, no.
But yeah, we got there, check-in was smooth, all that. But you could just tell, like, we were getting, and I don't want to say followed, but surveillanced a lot more than I feel like we should have. Yeah. And the questions we would get asked versus, if a white guest came up and they were checking in and, they always just wanted to know what we were doing there. And mind you, Austin, Texas isn't a majority white city. It's pretty fairly Black. Texas is pretty fairly, it's in the South. Yeah. But it was always the extra questioning just, are you meant to be here?
That is...
Like, are you truly meant to even be in this space?
That always pisses me off because I'm like, what else would they be doing here?
What?
They're in a...
What am I doing?
What else would they be doing?
Thank you. Like, and the thing about it is when DreamCon comes to these cities, they know way ahead of time. They advertise for, they know the guests that they're getting. Yeah. You see all these people in cosplays. What do you think we're doing here?
What do you think we're doing? Yeah.
Like, come on. And it was just all that, you could tell the parts that were more accepting than others. Yeah. And it's really, it makes me laugh sometimes where it's like, man, you can cross the city border and they like you here and then they don't like you here. Oh my God. And I get that. I've been in East Lansing for 4.5 years now. I get that so much still here.
I agree.
Like, and I feel like there's so much more of a bigger Black population coming to Michigan State, but we're still so small that it surprises people.
It does.
And especially
in certain spaces, they still will look at you kind of like, what are you doing
especially
here?
Being a journalist, like and then Jada's a pretty typical name, so Jada can be anybody. Yeah. But the reaction I've gotten when people have seen my face, and then I've talked about this a lot. My hair color, it's always vibrant. That's me. When they see what I look like, it's like, oh. Okay. And I'm like, what did you think I look like? Right. Like, why do we have this image in our heads of what we think our people should look like? Yeah. And then you get what people actually look like, and it's like, okay. How are you?
It's almost like you don't think that person feels that.
Yeah, you don't.
We can feel that. You know what I'm saying? We can feel that. Yes. I hate that. I hate that so much. But I do welcome the Black people to come to MSU. Come. Because the more the merrier. And then it starts to become a norm, you know? And I love that I've been seeing my people everywhere. Yes. I've been seeing them way more than when I came here my freshman year in 2022.
My first year?
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know where we were. Yeah. I didn't know where we were.
Where was y'all at?
Yeah, and like I said, my sister went here, so I'm sitting here like, where did you go?
Yeah.
Because they're not out.
Yeah.
And like, it really took time
to build.
And I feel like we all had the same journey of just finding our way here.
Yeah.
And it's so different for everybody. And we're so small. Like, if you don't find those clubs that first year, don't count yourself out.
Right.
If you don't find those people that first year, don't sell yourself short.
Right. Don't quit. Like, just keep going.
The consistency is everything.
Yeah.
And even with me coming in with like Janae, my sister, us having 2 different majors, we didn't never see each other on campus. Like, our schedules were so just opposite.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, I'm really kind of still alone. And I feel like that's the story of every Black person. And then once you find us, once you see us, you're never not gonna see us.
Right.
Like, once you find them, you're like, there you go. Yes. Then you see them all the time. But even now, like, yes, there's so much of an influx, and I'm so happy about it. So yes, don't let that steer you away.
Too.
Don't let the PWIs take you away. If you feel like you can make a mark there and a message, stay. Because you don't know what you can do. And I always encourage, like, because I know I ran into a thing where it's like, oh, I'm not really too sure about taking classes outside of my major. Like, no, take those classes you're unsure about. If you find an entrepreneurship class, take it. Take that intro business class. Okay? Immediately, because you don't know what that knowledge will do regardless of whatever career you have. You could be a nurse and have that business mindset.
Right.
You could be a journalist and have that business mindset. You could be a prosecutor and have that business mindset. But you don't know where that'll put you out from everybody else. And you can never have too many extra skills.
Yeah. Knowledge is knowledge.
It's knowledge.
You'll use it at some point, you know.
Yes, at some point.
It's business. You'll use it at some point.
It's business. And and if especially if you find yourself that, like, you didn't grow up with it, learn it for yourself.
Oh my God, take it.
Take it. You see these opportunities. College gives you so much stuff. Don't take it for granted.
Oh my God.
Because it's easy to take it for granted too.
And that, like, reminds me of something that I wanted to bring up. I've honestly just been so sad about a lot of younger people in our community talking about how they don't need to go to college. They're like, I don't need college to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it kills me because I'm like, you don't even know what you're missing. You don't even know what you're missing out on. Yes, the student loans are a pain. That's another discussion. It does not need to be that expensive to go to college. All can agree on that.
Come on now.
But go to college. If anything, go to college. Like, I cannot stress that enough. And I understand that college isn't for everybody, but at least try it. You know, at least try it. At least go for it. Because you don't even know what you're missing on. You don't even know what you don't even know.
Okay.
That's like...
Literally, you don't even know what you know. And you don't even know what you're going to connect with if you never figure it out. Because it's so in-depth in high school. This is not the high school stuff you were learning. And even if, you know, university, okay, too big. Community college. There's courses online you could take class by class. Trade schools. Like you said, don't sell yourself short of not even trying. Because the least you can say is you tried. And it didn't work.
Because even if you say you have a dream of starting a business or something like that, and you don't need education for that in your mind, you don't think you need to go to college for that. Even if you were to do that and you were to go through and start your business, there's so much that could have made your business take off more if you had that prior knowledge from college. So many, like, mistakes that you didn't have to make if you knew about the things that you would have learned in college about that business. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people will just kind of be like, oh, I don't need it. But it's like, it'll save you so much time, mistakes. You're gonna, like, you need it. You know, like, you really do need it. You know what I'm saying? You learn so much, and then it puts you in a different place than everybody else. It really does. Because you have your own, like, gathered experience that you can apply to your business and that you can apply to, even if you don't start your own business, you still go into the business field. You have this prior knowledge and you have connections. Oh my God, college gives you so many connections.
You meet so many people.
So many people. It's marketing every day. Just going and just, literally, you know. So I don't know. It really does sadden me though, because I can almost see their future as someone who's like, well, I don't need college. But it's just like, even if you're looking at other people, because they'll give me examples. They'll be like, well, Jeff Bezos, he's rich and and you're not Jeff Bezos.
Okay.
And you don't have Jeff Bezos' parents.
Okay.
You don't have the same upbringing as someone else whose family might have come from a richer side. You don't have that. So go to college.
Education for Black people is so important.
It's so important.
And so many different avenues, and just it's just so important. The more we can continue to educate ourselves, the more we will always continue to rise to the top.
Yeah.
The second we stop that education, or the second we stop learning, we'll never hit that mark. And the last question I wanted to ask you about that, to segue to end it, there's a lot of stereotypes that comes with the Black community. There's a lot of stereotypes that comes with being a Black person and wanting to find that better for yourself and wanting to be better. Yeah. So do you think these stereotypes hinder education? Which obviously, yes. But what I mean by stereotypes, do you think the Black people who accept those stereotypes hinders their own education? Because there are some people who fall in the line of, oh yeah, I'm only meant to do this, I'm only meant to do that. And when you have a society that's just forced it in your head, no, Black people are meant to be ghetto, thugs, rappers, artists. They're not meant to do the education side. They're not meant to go into the medical field. Like, we're not meant to be seen in those areas. How would you advise that young Black kid to step to break out of that?
Definitely. I would say if reading and education wasn't important, then there would have been no reason for them to try and take it away from us. There wouldn't have been no reason for them to try and block us from doing it. Yes. If it wasn't important, if you didn't need it, they wouldn't care if we did it. Yes. But they did. And they constantly tried to stop our ancestors from doing that. If education wasn't important, then we wouldn't have to have fought to be in these PWIs. Yes. It wouldn't have been illegal for us to go to school in the first place. I cannot stress that enough. Yes. I cannot stress that enough. It is probably the utmost important thing that you can do for yourself. Don't do it for your family. Don't try and prove anyone wrong. If you want to elevate yourself and your life and set yourself up for a better lifestyle than what you came through and what you've been through, go to school. Yes. Get your education. Yes. It costs a lot of money, okay? I hear that. But in terms of what it gives you in return it's actually nobody can take that away from you. Yes. Nobody can take your knowledge away from you. It's already in here. You know what I'm saying? It'll never leave you. It'll never leave. It'll stick with you for life. You'll have that forever. You'll use it whether you think you are or not. Right. You're just gonna use it. Exactly. Man, come on. We're ending on that, okay? Because that was golden, okay? I like that. Destinee, this was a really good episode. Y'all, I hope y'all took y'all notes. Yes. Y'all wrote it down. We some yappers, so we talk like this all day, but it's gems. And listen, you got two young Black girls telling you, if you're a young Black girl or a Black boy who don't know no better, you can relate and connect. We're not here to shame. We're not here to judge. Yeah. We all learning together. At the end of the day, we learning together. We're in this together. Because look, it's some stuff we still don't know, but we learning. Yeah. As long as you're trying to learn, that's what matters. Right. So this has been All Shaded Chocolate, where Destinee and I have brought the sweetest, the hottest Black culture to MSU. And remember to stay sweet. Bye. Bye.